everyone, it's Maki here. Today, I would like to introduce a topic that some Japanese fans have been discussing. It's only being discussed by a small group of people at the moment, so it's not a major trend yet. However, if you're a fan of mobile suits, you might find it pretty interesting. I'd also like to share my own interpretation. The main topic is the Xeku-Zwei. It has recently gained attention after appearing in the game G Generation Eternal. The Xeku-Zwei is a mobile suit that features in the Gundam Sentinel story. It's an enormous mobile suit operated by the Mobile Suit Instructor Corps of the Earth Federation Forces. The center of the debate is its beam saber. So, what kind of debate is happening? If you'd like to support new designs, please consider joining the 99-cent monthly membership. The Federation government, led by the AUGO Organization of Space Noise, is flawed. Together, let's take back the Earth Federation government for the people of Earth. To thank you for your support, we will provide you with a name badge and comment stamps. Alright, let's begin the analysis. First, let's start with a brief introduction to the Xeku-Zwei. It is a mobile suit belonging to the Earth Federation Forces Mobile Suit Instructor Corps, which staged an armed uprising in Universal Century 0088. Calling themselves the New Designs, they launched a rebellion against the Earth Federation Forces. The Federation Forces had only just emerged from a civil war between the Titans and the AUGO at that time. The victorious AUGO was leading the reorganization of the Earth Federation government. The Instructor Corps opposed this situation, in which an organization centered around space noise was taking the lead. They began their actions under the banner of restoring the rightful Earth Federation government. This is known as the New Designs Rebellion in historical records, but the rebels themselves believed they were acting to return the government to its rightful owners. In that sense, they were somewhat similar to Maki, who would become active in later years. The standard mobile suit operated by New Designs was the Xeku-Eins. The Xeku-Zwei is an advanced version of the Xeku-Eins and a more powerful mobile suit. Given its massive frame and heavy firepower, it might be more appropriate to call it a mobile armor than a mobile suit. Its full load weight is 151.7 tons. For comparison, the G Gundam has a full load weight of 80 tons. However, the engineers who designed it insisted that the Xeku-Zwei is a mobile suit. This was based on the faith in Gundam that emerged from the LX-78's great achievements, as well as the fact that Gundam had defeated multiple mobile armors. Rather than designing a mobile armor, they became fixated on enhancing the performance of a mobile suit. Xeku-Zwei is powerful, but it is simply too large. It is difficult to carry on standard warships and places a heavy burden on maintenance crews. Consequently, the design philosophy of large size and heavy firepower was not adopted for subsequent Zek-Zwei. This strays slightly from today's main topic, but let's take a closer look at the Xeku-Zwei. When you hear about its characteristics, does anything come to mind? The G Gundam, perhaps. We mentioned it briefly when discussing weight. Both the G Gundam and its sister unit, the Penelope, are massive, highly advanced mobile suits. However, despite their power, they presented many challenges in terms of storage and operation aboard warships. Consequently, the concept of large, high-performance mobile suits was abandoned. Instead, the design philosophy shifted towards microization of mobile suits, as seen in units such as the F-90 and the F-91. Xeku-Zwei is a mobile suit that closely resembles the Shi Gundam as early as Universal Century 0088. The Shi Gundam itself is a mobile suit that was operated in Universal Century 105. The mobile suit instructor corps known as the New D-Side also had the mission of exploring how to operate and develop tactics for mobile suits as a new type of weapon. By this point, they had already discovered what could be called the ultimate evolution of mobile suits, 17 years ahead of their time. The New D-Sides are renowned for the exceptional combat skills of their pilots. However, another remarkable aspect is that they accurately foresaw the future evolution of mobile suits. This highlights their role as true specialists in mobile suits, not just pilots. Now let's address the question, why is the beam saber of the Xeku-Zwei receiving so much attention? In G-Generation Eternal, the Xeku-Zwei uses the beam saber mounted on its backpack by grabbing it with its manipulator. At first glance, nothing seems unusual. However, it is not the handle of a beam saber that it is grabbing here. It's actually grabbing a sensor. Even upon examining the design drawings, this rod-shaped component is depicted in a way that could easily be mistaken for the hilt of a beam saber. However, if you check other materials, it clearly states that it is a sensor. The rod-shaped object on the backpack is a sensor. The small protrusion above it is the beam saber. This is how the beam saber of the Xeku-Zwei is defined. Beam sabers are delicate components. From a design standpoint, it makes more sense for it to be stored inside the backpack. This setting was probably created with that in mind. What do you think about it? I'd also like to share my own interpretation. Gundam Sentinel is a story with very complex copyright and rights-related issues. While the details have not been fully disclosed to fans, situations caused by these complexities do arise when it appears in games and other media. This seems to be especially true for characters. The protagonist, Ryu, rarely appears. Even in official games, he has appeared with his face completely blacked out. Therefore, there is a possibility that the original publication settings have been altered and the production is based on the new official settings. In fact, the same kind of portrayal was already used in G-Generation Genesis, which was released in 2016. A part officially described as a sensor was depicted as the handle of a beam saber. Therefore, the portrayal in G-Generation Eternal may not be a mistake, but rather an intentional choice. This is quite a complex topic. Gundam Sentinel rarely has the opportunity to have its official settings fully published. It was not included in the Mobile Suit Encyclopedia and official setting material collection published in 2022. So, is the rod-shaped component on the Xeku-Zwei's backpack a beam saber or a sensor? It could be fun to consider the possibilities. Incidentally, there's another similar case in Gundam Sentinel. The Deep Striker. It's a mobile suit that attacks enemies with tremendous propulsion power and powerful weaponry. Its massive beam cannon certainly makes an impression. This weapon was actually repurposed from the main guns of warships such as the Agame class and the Irish class. Rather than being redesigned or adjusted for mobile suit use, it is a weapon originally built for warships and mounted as is. There is a rod-shaped component next to the beam cannon. This part is the main gun coaxial sensor. it improves targeting accuracy. This is clearly stated in the Gundam Sentinel setting materials. However, let's take a look at the Agame setting materials. You can see a rod-shaped component similar to the one next to the main gun. Now, let's check the accompanying description. It is equipped with 4 main guns. The additional part attached to it is actually a secondary gun that operates in conjunction with it. In other words, the Sentinel production staff may have mistaken a secondary gun for a sensor when creating the setting. However, there are multiple ways to interpret this. The Agama is a warship operated by the Euro. While many Earth Federation soldiers were part of the Euro at the time of its founding, the Euro was not an official Federation military force. After defeating the Titans, the Euro took control of the Federation government and was recorded in history as an internal organization of the Earth Federation forces. But at its founding, it was essentially a terrorist organization. Naturally, its resources such as funding were extremely limited compared to those of the Earth Federation forces. Therefore, it is possible that while the secondary gun was originally a design feature, there were versions where it was removed and replaced with a sensor. Interpreting it this way means that the official setting is incorrect. Of course, please bear in mind that this is just my personal interpretation. Starting with the beam saber of the Zek Zwei, we enjoyed exploring various ideas and interpretations. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Thank you so much for watching until the end. See you again in the next episode.